This is Neil's Han Dynasty. This is from the New Tourist. It is about, how long? 47 minutes ago. Secret reason why Niger kicked out the U.S. military finally revealed. Dun dun dun! Oh my god, let me give them a like.
In a recent turn of events, Ali Mohamed Lamin Zain, Niger's prime minister, has blamed the U.S. for a rupture in an important military pact between the two countries that allows U.S. forces to station in the West African nation. Zain claimed in a Washington Post interview that U.S. authorities had failed to provide a rationale for the U.S. forces' stay in Niger and had tried to dictate which nations Niger might support. He said that the Americans stayed on their soil, doing nothing while the terrorists killed people and burned towns. Note that Niger's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, was overthrown by a military coup last year. After this, Washington suspended counterterrorism operations and suspended security support for the Islamic State. Airbase 201 is where the U.S. stations over 1,000 military personnel and uses drones to spy on groups linked to al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Sahel. Last month, the U.S. acted on Niger's demands that U.S. troops leave and agree to withdraw its forces. There are concerns that U.S. influence in West Africa may decline and Russian power may take its place in light of the U.S.-Niger Security Pact's cancellation.
What? Russia's moving in and we're being kicked out? Who saw that coming? Watch my videos, you'll find out I did.
Moscow is already regarded as being close to neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, where Russia's Wagner mercenary force has established a presence.
By the way, I also did a report on the Wagner group where their leader just happened to be helicopter crash died, kind of like the Islamic president. And they have a new leader of the Wagner group more directly in line with Putin's thought processes over the old guy. So Putin basically is controlling the Wagner group now.
In July of last year, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner group, welcomed the new military government in Niger and offered Wagner's services.
Yeah, that's the new guy.
Terminated in August.
He was terminated.
Russia has sent troops to the capital.
What they didn't tell you is his termination was a helicopter crash.
IMA, despite a counteroffer made by U.S. diplomats and military personnel intended to maintain collaboration. Now, U.S. and Russian forces are stationed at opposite sides of an airbase. Zain disclosed the full depth of the U.S.-Nigeria relationship's collapse in an interview with the Washington Post. According to Zain, the National Council for Safeguarding the Homeland, leaders of Niger's new government were not pleased that the U.S. had stopped military assistance but had maintained U.S. troops in the nation. Note that General Michael Langley, head of the U.S. Command, told a Senate Armed Services Committee meeting in March that while the U.S. was no longer conducting counterterrorism operations from Niger, a U.S. military presence in the region was necessary to counter Russian encroachment. According to Zain, the U.S. perspective on the coup in Niger was in stark contrast to that of Russia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, who welcomed the new government in Niamey with open arms. Zain further stated that had the U.S. granted Niger's requests for additional support, including planes, drones, and air defense systems, Niger would not have turned to Russia for assistance. He did, however, add that he had conveyed to the U.S. delegation Niger's continued desire for diplomatic and commercial ties with the U.S. We would give American investors what they wanted if they came. We have uranium. We have oil. We have lithium. Come, invest. It is all we...
Invest in West Africa. How long have I been saying Africa is, in my opinion, a great investment opportunity? Now, this gentleman here is the president of Niger, and he's saying we would give American investors what they want if they came. We have uranium, we have oil, we have lithium. Come visit us. It is what we want. Same thing Neil's been telling you. Because people don't want to listen to Neil, listen to the president of Nigeria. He says the same thing.
As all this is going on, U.S. and Nigerian officials concluded official high-level talks last week to coordinate plans to withdraw all American military forces from the country. Members of Niger's military government were briefed on Wednesday and Thursday in Niamey by Lieutenant General Dagvin Anderson, head of Joint Force Development and Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict, Christopher Mayer. U.S. and Niger leaders agreed to a phased withdrawal of American forces from Niger as soon as it's feasible in the coming months, after being in the country for more than a decade, to ensure smooth entries and exits during the withdrawal of U.S. forces. Participants in this week's negotiations approved diplomatic clearances for withdrawal flights, as well as confirmed protections and immunizations for U.S. personnel. The discussions were based on mutual respect. There are about 900 U.S. military personnel in Niger, including active duty, civilians, and contractors. Most of the U.S. military personnel have stayed in the country past their deployment's planned end dates, as details for their withdrawal are ironed out. To keep an eye on terrorist organizations in the area, the U.S. has maintained 2 military bases: Air Base 201 in Agadez and Air Base 101 in Niamey. The majority of U.S. personnel are stationed at the latter, which took them $110 million.
By the way, for all you people that don't know about it, those 2 military bases are part of the AFRICOR, which is another part of the United States military run out of Italy by American generals that controls all of Africa's movements of military personnel. They answer directly to AFRICOR, not to the Pentagon. AFRICOR answers to the Pentagon. So there's a different command structure set up totally for Africa in the American military.
Dollars to construct, and also started drone operations in 2019. Niger's natural resources have increased its importance to global powers, and its location had provided the U.S. with the ability to conduct counter-terror operations throughout much of West Africa. There has been a significant increase in jihadist movements in the region, including Niger, Mali, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso. The Sahel region accounted for nearly half of all terrorist-related casualties in 2018. Burkina Faso, Niger's neighbor, was most severely affected, with 1,907 terrorist casualties in 2023. The coup in Niger has left the West's ability to keep an eye on terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group in the Sahel in complete disarray. However, given that the United States is having difficulty finding partners in what she referred to as the coup belt, a reference to the recent coups in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, the Pentagon will attempt to negotiate with Chad for a larger American troop deployment. But in recent weeks, the majority of U.S. personnel have departed Chad for Germany. The Pentagon described this as a temporary step in the course of an ongoing evaluation of U.S. security cooperation with Chad, which will pick back up following the country's May 6 electoral contest. Only a small group of service members remain in Chad as part of a multinational task force. Bear in mind that Niger was unique in that it was home to one of the few elected governments in the area, one that was also amicable to the United States and open to receiving American military forces. Therefore, finding a suitable substitute for that in a military installation will be challenging. The counterterrorism drones will probably have to spend the majority of their fuel supply flying thousands of kilometers from U.S. facilities in Italy or Djibouti, limiting their time above the targets and their capacity to gather intelligence, unless the U.S. can locate another site to use in West Africa.
Dun dun dun! And now we get to guess. Who are they going to use? And what are they going to use? And how can you profit? These are things to think about, people, because this report here says it's going to happen. America is looking for a new ally in West Africa. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be him? Have a good day, people. Bye-bye.